For further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by the Al-Ahram newspaper managing editor, Ashraf Al-Ashry. Welcome to Qnews, sir. What response do we expect from Hamas to the Israeli ceasefire proposal, sir?
Absolutely. It is expected to somehow positive response by Hamas to oppose the far right wing of the Israeli cabinet. In the meantime, Israel would reject to provide guarantees of ceasefire and to have some sort of a timetable of the Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, which is an issue of problematics. And the Qatar and Egypt and US has been proposed as Hamas has a desire of releasing of all hostages in one go if had a vow from Netanyahu of ending the war and a ceasefire and any attempts of aggression into Gaza. This problematic were resolved in the few past hours, and I think there is an Egyptian Qatari communications with US in order to extract a guarantee for by the US administration. If this would happen, I think it will be having some sort of a breakthrough of the ceasefire and accelerate the space of negotiations in the second and third phases without any obstacles, as Israel made before. That in the first phase in the 19th of January, and Netanyahu disavowed his commitment that lasted, and then they continued to resume the war for the last 1 month ago.
Sir, what does the involvement of Egypt and Qatar in delivering the proposal indicate about their influence and role in mediating the Gaza conflict?
I think what is being tackled currently is an outcome of the Egyptian initiative and approachment recently proposed by releasing 8 of the Israeli hostages in return of a truce of 45 days. And that was very positive, responded by the US. But Benjamin Netanyahu used to maneuver in unless we provided an Israeli initiative by releasing 10 hostages alive and 10 bodies of the Israeli, and the mediators approved, presented before Hamas on the last Sunday in Cairo, promised to return back in the Thursday. This proposal somehow is positive for halting the war for 45 days, followed by the ceasefire and Israeli withdrawal to be a convinced proposal. There is, in order to have an Israeli respond and not to have the aim of passing the proposal through the process of the swap and then to continue the massacre and the genocide. And hence Hamas is in a very certain if there is no guarantee for the swap of the release and the halt of the Israeli aggression, I think this matter will be having a fiasco with respect to the negotiation in the upcoming period, as there is no trust to Israel, and this will be rely on the American role, as Egypt has already played in a greater role.
Okay, sir, got your point on this. Sir, Israel's proposal does not include a permanent ceasefire clause. Will this diminish the chances of its success?
Certainly. If Israel or rather, Israeli-American guarantees were provided regarding the Israeli withdrawal and ending the war and not to reoccupy the Gaza Strip, and a timetable of the Gaza, if this would not have been provided, neither Hamas nor the Jihad would accept any other proposals regarding the hostages and the prisoners, which is the main core condition. Therefore, Hamas had requested a 3-time period for consultations within and outside in the Gaza Strip, and the other Palestinian factions in the meantime had requested from the Qatari Egyptian mediators to reactivate consultation with America for having guarantees to pressure Israel. If the American reiterated if the guarantees were provided by the US, the process will move forward, and if not so, the occupations would be having nothing but to continue the war and no more else.
So what are the potential implications if Hamas or Israel delay or reject the latest proposal, both for the conflict dynamics and for regional diplomacy?
This matter will lead to more escalation. In addition, it will create a public opinion pressuring the Israeli cabinet, as we've seen before, as we've signed petitions signed by old pilots and even scholars in the academia in opposition of the resumption of the war. Netanyahu said that this petition or this group aren't representative by us. So any delay or any Israeli manipulation will pose the lives of their hostages and the prisoners to the great dangers. And I think there is a great conviction that Netanyahu has the main cause of putting any hindrance regarding the negotiations. If the American side continue to exert pressure, Netanyahu will have the release of the captives left in Hamas. And I think ultimately Netanyahu will accept Hamas as Trump wishes to have the stability in the half of the upcoming months in order not to spoil his business abroad.
From Cairo, that was the Al-Ahram newspaper managing editor, Ashraf Al-Ashry. Thank you very much for your informative knowledge.